My grandfather spent 4 years of his life in this country, Germany. It was during the Second World War, so you can guess it was not tourism. He was a French war prisoner, yet as an officer he was lucky enough not to be treated too badly. But millions of people were not that lucky, and not just during the war, but already before the war. Many unfairly lost their homes, were beaten, oppressed, killed, and all this according to rules issued and imposed by the Nazi state. Gays, Jews, gypsies, and many others were arbitrarily slaughtered because of new rules, new laws. These rules or these laws were to a large extent the very opposite of what we call the rule of law. Thinkers such as Aristotle or Cicero developed the first notions found in the modern concept of the rule of law. They were opposing a system ruled by the law of one or a few men, especially who would place himself or themselves above the law. The idea was that law could not be created by some men. Just practices could only be discovered and then made into law. Today, the notion of rule of law can include various content depending on authors, but roughly it can have a thin or a thick definition. The rule of law means respect of certain processes, but it can also mean respect of certain rights. Limiting oneself to the first dimension, the procedures, is the thin definition, and adding the second dimension in terms of rights is the thick definition. First, the law must not be arbitrary. It must not change easily, nor according to persons. Laws must treat everyone the same way. There must be equality before the law, with no one above the law. Laws must be made public and must be predictable, so people must have access to the law, which is thus knowable, and laws cannot be retroactive. Liberals think that other attributes logically follow from these procedural aspects, hence a thicker definition of the rule of law by insisting on the respect of individual rights. The rule of law means respect of property rights, or justly acquired property rights, if you will. This means that very high levels of taxation, for instance, which are de facto eroding property rights far beyond consent, can be questionable from the point of view of the rule of law. The rule of law also entails the respect of the right to contract, for example. Here again, many restrictions on free contracting are thus going counter to, according to some liberal thinkers, the rule of law. Seen in this light, we better understand how the rule of law represents the basic institutional infrastructure for the preservation of freedom and the emergence of prosperity. And the rule of law is indeed an important component of economic freedom. Given the legal certainty and the protection of certain rights, the rule of law provides the basic framework for human coordination through free exchange. It gives people the right incentives to cooperate in free markets and is thus the foundation for sound economic development. Some people add the necessity of government accountability, absence of corruption, and the like. All in all, the rule of law is supposed to protect us from arbitrary power and maximize freedom, a precondition for personal and economic flourishing.